Hi there, my name is Jay with ServerMatter. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Let me start off with sharing a little bit about myself, introduce myself to you. I've been a software programmer, developer since the days of DOS. I've written software that I've sold commercially to the mortgage and banking industry that does the good faith estimates and amortization schedules and things of that nature. After that, I've created websites for that same industry, heavy in the Flash environment, a lot of animation and all that kind of thing. Flash eventually went by the wayside and time moved on. At some point, I sold all that I had, which wasn't a lot, but it was a very special little piece of real estate that I had on a small island down in South Florida. And I took that and opened a computer store called ServerMatter. This was back in 2005. I think I had $150,000 from the sale of that property, and it all went in. I hired 7 employees, each one of them with expertise, some in repairs, some in networking, some in teaching and training, website development, design experience, a bookkeeper, really covered the wide gamut of services that I wanted to offer as a store. Within 4 months, 2 things I realized. One of them was my bookkeeper was in over her head. And another is I had more labor and more rent and more expenses in general than I could afford to. So within 6 months, I was completely bled out. That $150,000 was out the window. In fact, not only that, I had taxes that were unpaid that I wasn't even aware of that was unpaid. The IRS came knocking on our door, offered to put locks on the doors and shut us down. And fortunately, we were able to strike an agreement with them and go into a payment plan. So I say these kinds of things so that if you're a business person, you know, it doesn't come easy. Now, that was back in 2005, so it's a long time ago. I'm still here. I made it past all that. We got the IRS payments made, and we ended up finding a building that was less rent and keeping this thing going. But what I learned through that period and time since is you've got to, as a business owner, there's nothing more important than you being able to focus on all the moving parts. And it's hard to focus on all the moving parts, especially as you start adding employees to the mix. So being a programmer, I made it my mission to figure out how to do this. And what I found was there really were no software products. There was no silver bullet, no solution to where here it is in a box. Get this, install it, and all those things that you need focus on, this is going to cover it for you. And so I started looking at, okay, I need something for recorded knowledge. So now I'm really going down a road for just myself. I'm going to either create or find the programs that will do this. I need to record knowledge. That's probably the single biggest need I had. Every little thing that I needed to, you know, that I learned how to do, whether it's fixing a computer, I need to document how I learned how to fix that computer, whatever that particular issue, because new issues come up all the time. That same thing will apply to a car, a boat, your attorney's case, or whatever it is. You need to record that knowledge. You know, Word documents and things like that aren't going to cut it, because I want to be able to search for a keyword and have it brought right back up for me when the time comes. It might be, you know, how to file this tax document. It might be when I release an employee, what do I have to do? It might be in QuickBooks, how do I do this? All these things need to be written down once you learn them so you don't spend your life relearning things. There's shared calendars. If I've got a calendar for myself, I want to be able to share it with the others. If I have a project that has a lot of moving parts, I want to be able to manage that project. If I have passwords, I want to be able to share them with my team members. If I want to contact somebody on a remote computer or in a different office, I don't have to get up out of my chair and go over there and talk to them every time. I'm going to be able to pop it up on a chat message and speak to them in real time, maybe even in video in real time. The list goes on and on and on. Remote QuickBooks, locking people down, who can see what on what files and folders. backing up the server, making sure that my data is protected and safe. If I get hit with ransomware, I do not want to pay up. I need to know how to reverse that data and go back in time. Vital statistics, so that I need to know that my server is healthy, that it's not failing. All computers will fail. I want to be alerted when that happens. I could go on forever, and we don't have that kind of time in this video. But that was my goal, was to find out how to put all this in one box, and I've solved the problem. ServerMatter has solved the problem. And all of the different things that I've just talked about are bound together by a central username and password scheme, and that's critical, because if you hire an employee, you're going to want to decide, okay, this employee has rights to the project manager. We'll give them rights to that. We'll give them rights to the wiki, which is the recorded knowledge. We'll give them rights to the VPN server from the outside world. But we don't want them having rights to QuickBooks. We don't want them to be able to remote into desktops. We don't want them to be able to manage the password centers. You decide what you're going to give them. And each employee, you make those kinds of decisions. Management has more liberal permissions, and people, new hires, obviously going to have less. Now, when you hire them, you create a password for them, and that password works in whatever programs you've given them access to. When they leave, whether you've had to fire them or they've laid them off or what have you, you simply disable that password and they can no longer log into anything. So it's secure very quickly, as opposed to having multiple outside services to solve your problems. And now you've got to go chasing through all of those solutions. What do they have access to? And if you forget something, you can have a real problem. So this is a short video. I'm only supposed to have 5 minutes. I'm already up around 7 or 8. But reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a sit down, a little communication, and describe to you in more detail what this server does for you. I can tell you that I've put the last 7 years of my life into the process of creating this because I knew the world needed it. I knew it didn't exist, and now it does. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.